first possibility talk of the new season. So Possibility Talks is Art Possible Ohio's speaker series featuring and championing artists with disabilities. We are the statewide service organization on the arts and disability, which means we work around the state in a variety of capacities, including advocacy, education, public programming, performance, and exhibition in order to showcase and highlight voices, artworks, and experiences for and with artists with disabilities. We also work with a lot of organizations like museums and cultural centers to make sure that their actual brick and mortar places, as well as their websites, are accessible. And we work with a lot of statewide advocates to make sure that when they are thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion, all of those wonderful aspects of the arts, they are also including accessibility in that conversation. I want to thank the Ohio Arts Council today. They are a generous sponsor of Possibility Talks and just about everything that we do at Art Possible Ohio. We really couldn't make any of this happen without them. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our wonderful Director of Programs, Megan Feitz. She's going to do a little bit of housekeeping and then introduce our speaker for today. Take it away, Megan.
I did it after all this time. I still muted. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad to have you all here today, joining us for our first Possibility Talk of the fall with Tracy Marie. Just a few housekeeping things. We do have captions enabled. So if you go to the very bottom of your screen, there should be a black bar. And just to the right of the black bar from the center is a little icon that says DC in white. And if you click that, generated caption should appear on your screen. You can move them around to whatever part of the screen that you're comfortable with moving them. So you can best see that. Also, you do not have to unmute at any point during this talk today, unless you have a question at the end that you want to do so. And you also do not have to have your face on the screen. So that is entirely up to you. And just want to let you know that. And then finally, Tracy wants this to be a really great, fun, casual experience today. But she does have a few things she wants to talk about before we get to the Q&A at the end. So if there's a question that comes to your mind while Tracy is talking or performing today, feel free to go ahead and drop it in the chat at any point during the talk today. And then we will read those questions out at the end of the experience. That being said, I am actually going to let Tracy introduce herself because I imagine she can do it best. Oh, and I did want to describe what I look like. Apologies for not doing so. I am a white woman with short curly brown hair, wearing pink glasses, in my early 40s, and I have a like a fuchsia, I don't know, fuchsia bright pink tank top on with sitting on a turquoise couch. There's a lamp in the corner and there's some artwork above me. Okay, Tracy, I am going to pin you to the screen for recording sakes, and you can take it away.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Megan, and thank you, Molly. I'm Tracy Marie. She, her are my preferred pronouns, and I am a white woman in my late 40s, but I look like I'm 23, and I have long brownish hair with silver in it, and I am wearing a black V-neck t-shirt, and behind me is a mantle and a black brick fireplace and a painting of me that my friend Daniela Calabrese, she's also a wonderful artist, she painted for me as a gift, and it's a black and white painting just of my face. And I have a keyboard in front of me, a piano keyboard, and I'm going to be playing you a song. And hopefully that was a good description. I am a little person. You might not be able to tell that by looking at me through the camera, but I'm a little person, and I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, and an artist. And I'm here to talk about cultivating disability in the arts. And the reason that I am able to talk about that is because I'm a disabled artist. So that's why I'm here today to talk about my experience, and also to kind of spread the word about what we need to do to cultivate disability in the arts. Do you have my PowerPoint again?
I do. Do you want it up while you perform?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Let me get that going for you. Mhm.
Okay, so this is my kind of my title screen, and you can see on this slide that there is a blank canvas on a just sitting out off to the left, and then on the right it says Cultivating Disability in the Arts. And we can go to the next slide. And this slide just has my name and says that I'm a singer-songwriter. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. I have been performing since I can remember. And I also was born with a disability. I have a rare disease called Morquio syndrome. And so that affects mainly the skeleton, but it can also affect other systems in the body and especially endurance. So I experience a lot of arthritis, pain, stiffness, and reduced energy, and just general not feeling good sometimes. And that can pose a lot of challenges for anybody, but also in the arts and being an artist and being in a competitive field. I maybe didn't realize that I was having more challenges than I thought. I just thought I'm competing to be, in the arts, and I'm a musician and I'm out there with my peers doing my thing. And I knew that I had a disadvantage because of my disability with keeping up, with standing for a long time, if I was playing my guitar for a long time, just things like that, like just experiencing challenges with endurance. And so throughout my life, I've not necessarily considered myself disabled. And when I finally said I have a disability, even my friends and family would say, "You're not disabled." But I felt that I was empowered to accept that I had a disability because at that point I was able to advocate for myself, which I wasn't doing up until then. Up until then, I was just kind of going along with the program and accepting the limitations that were presented before me and the barriers and just trying to work around them. Well, when I started to get a little bit older, I started to experience more challenges physically and needed accessible housing. So I went to my city to look for housing, and my city didn't have a whole lot of accessible housing. So I ended up working with my city to create the ADA Transition Plan Task Force. Because when we started talking about accessible housing, I also pointed out to our mayor that most cities are not fully ADA friendly. And I would like to see my city become an example for other small suburbs and bigger cities in the area to also do their part according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. So in doing that, I became an advocate. I volunteer with my city, and I'm the chair of the ADA Transition Task Force of Lakewood, Ohio. We're currently working to do a full audit of all the city's streets, sidewalks, crosswalks, programs, buildings, and then the city's going to go ahead and make the necessary changes in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm super proud and excited of that. And then I recently, during the pandemic, was approached by an organization called Ramped. And this organization is recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. And when I first found out about Ramped, I was really excited because it was a way for me to intersect my advocacy with my artistry. And I never really connected the two before that. I didn't really think, oh, I'm an artist with a disability and I need accommodations to do my art so that I can thrive in the artist space as well. So in being a professional member of Ramped, I became a co-chair of their events committee, and the organization is thriving. Ramped helped to make the Grammys a more accessible event, and we are working with a lot of really high profile organizations, including our founder and president, is going to the White House this coming month. So it's pretty exciting. And then I also volunteer with the Metro Health Medical Center as a patient family advisor. I'm the co-chair of their patient family advisory board. And my main purpose for that was to help improve accessibility in the healthcare systems, and also to help break down barriers for those with rare diseases in healthcare. And if you wanted to go ahead to the next slide, Megan. And again, thank you, Megan, for taking care of this part for me. I'm really excited that I was able to pull together this PowerPoint. David Kennedy, who is also a arts advocate in Cleveland, helped me put together this PowerPoint. And I put this slide together so that you could know how to hear my music and where you could find me on social media. This picture you're looking at right here is, you can see, or you may not see, so I'll describe it to you. It's a picture of me. I'm wearing a pink wig and I look really upset or stressed out in a dark place, because that's the name of my album. But there is a big light bulb right next to my face, and I'm holding the chain to turn it on or turn it off. And I'm wearing a dress, a colorful flower dress in this picture. So this is actually a still from my music video. And I got kind of glammed out for that one. So it was pretty fun. And so if you wanted to go ahead and check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, you can find me on the links shown, or you can go to tracymarie.com and you can also find those links there. I'm also on Linktree. My Linktree handle is The Little Queen. So I'm going to play a song for you, and then we'll get into the program. And also, if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat. And if it's something that I feel that I can answer right away, I will. And like Megan said, this is just a conversation and it's pretty casual. So don't be shy. I can't really see who's all on here either, but hello to everybody. So this one song I'm going to play is called Beautiful Again. I wrote it in the 90s, actually. And I had the opportunity to perform it in Nashville at the Ryman Auditorium when I was 19 years old. That was my first performance. And for those of you who may not know, the Ryman Auditorium was the original Grand Ole Opry. And even like the most famous country stars want to play there. And I didn't really know how big of a deal it was when I did that, but it was a pretty exciting time. So I'm going to play the song for you. It's off of my first album. It's called Beautiful Again. When the sun comes out and the spring rain falls, the birds return with the mellow call. The earth is beautiful and beautiful again. And when you hold me tight and you love me, dear, the rainy light will be shining. I'll be beautiful, beautiful again. For without you, my world is dark, with no spring rain. And without you, there is no light, no season change. But when the sun comes out and the spring rain falls, the birds every time with that mellow cross, bringing up this beautiful, beautiful love again. And when you hold me tight and you love me dear, a radiant light will be shining here, and I'll be beautiful, beautiful again. Thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I may possibly, if we have time at the end, play another one, but you do know where to find me on all the streaming sources. You can get me on Apple Music and on iTunes, or I guess that is iTunes, and on Spotify and all those places. Just look up Tracy Marie and you'll find me. All right, so getting into the program for today. If you want to go ahead and, yes, thank you, Megan. Okay, so I wanted to first talk about art for people with disabilities, because there is a lot of that. There's a lot of programming, funding, opportunities for group events, things with the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities. They have all kinds of funding to help people with disabilities experience art. And so art for people with disabilities is a person with a disability who is experiencing art. In other words, like I said, facilitating arts activities for people with disabilities, or perhaps a person with a disability attending a theater or a concert, experiencing art. And the slide that we're looking at right now is of somebody creating a ceramics piece. And I thought this one would be good because I actually do have a developmental disability. And so I was able to get the opportunity to do some ceramics through the programming with the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And so I created this mug. If you can see it, I don't know. I made this mug, and I never did this before, but it was a new experience for me. So I wouldn't really consider that like a professional potter or anything, but I thought it was pretty good. So just thought I'd share that with you. And then if you could go to the next slide. So basically, the other side of that is disability in the arts. So we have artists experiencing, or disabled people experiencing the arts, and putting disability into the arts is like a step beyond that. So we're saying we're cultivating disability in arts by we're actually experiencing the art of a person with a disability. So not just a disabled person experiencing art, but we as a society are experiencing the art of a disabled person. So there's a lot of benefits to that, but I'll get into that in a little bit. First, I want to say the ways that you can cultivate disability in the arts is by elevating artists with disabilities. And that would be, for example, if you know somebody who has a disability that is creative, you would encourage them to continue exploring their creativity. And if somebody says, oh, I don't think I can do that. Well, yes, you can do that. And we need to tell people that their limitations should not stop them. There's no barrier to being creative. So you can be creative in your own way. You can find your own joy as a disabled person by being creative and making art, whatever art that would be. And to take that to a whole nother level would be to actually give professional opportunities to artists. So I myself, I perform, I sing. I'm here today talking to you. I might have a gig at a coffee shop. I might perform at a nursing home, and all those are professional opportunities for me. I get paid for that. So it motivates me to continue to make art. It makes me feel like I'm legit I'm a legit artist. I'm actually going out there and I have professional opportunities. So giving professional opportunities to artists with disabilities is a great way to cultivate disability in the arts. And there are plenty of artists out there with disabilities looking for professional opportunities. So you don't have to look very far. And then following artists with disabilities. As a fan of art and music, if you happen to find out about an artist with a disability, then following that artist and showing them your support is another way that you can help cultivate disability in the arts. And also purchasing the art of a disabled artist. That's kind of related to professional opportunity, but maybe you saw my mug today and you're like, oh, I want a mug like that, you know, or I want you to make me a mug and I want these, whatever, you know, could you help me could you write a song could you come and play for me and my family at our family function, or play at my wedding, or whatever. So yeah, it's you giving opportunities to artists with disabilities and really just lifting up people by enjoying their art and supporting their art. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, and again, this slide is, there is a cup full of paintbrushes, and to the left and to the right, there is a quote that I came up with, because this is how I feel. And it says, I see someone with similar challenges as myself doing amazing things. So therefore, I feel like I can also do amazing things. So, for example, you know, I, as an artist with a disability, and I am a wheelchair user, but I also walk and I can navigate stairs. But one of my greatest fears is that when I can't do that, that I won't be able to get up on a stage. And so since I have joined Ramped, I see that there are artists who are full-time wheelchair users that are able to navigate performance opportunities and ask for accommodations so that they can access a stage. So now I feel empowered that, oh, I shouldn't be afraid of that anymore, because I see this other person asking for accommodations and removal of barriers. And so I feel like I also can do that, and I shouldn't have to worry and say the word can't, because I can ask for accommodations and I can overcome these barriers. And just seeing, you know, that we don't see a whole lot of, in pop music, we don't see a whole lot of like wheelchair users on stage. We don't see a lot of that. So part of the mission of Ramped is to create a visibility for disabled artists and have artists with disabilities in the spotlight, so that other people with disabilities that might have talents don't see that word can't flashing in their mind. And we can go to the next slide. All right, so what does art do? So we know that, I'm not sure if you've heard of the social determinants of health, but one of the social determinants of health is to the fact that you can, socializing is actually healthy, and being in the community is healthy, and it helps your overall health. So if you're isolated and you're alone, that's not good for your health. So helping artists with disabilities overcome barriers, and lifting artists with disabilities and cultivating disability in the arts creates a community, and it helps artists to interact with other artists. And the communities that we can connect by cultivating disability in the arts would be, for example, creators of similar types. So if you have a musician, you might network with another musician. And if you are a singer-songwriter, then you might even take it down to another level of, oh, singer-songwriters get together. You might be in a band, so you might hang out with other people who are in bands and things like that. So it's an opportunity for connecting those communities. In painting, you might connect with painters who paint similar styles as you. Maybe you're an abstract painter, so you find yourself attracted to other painters who have that style. Same thing with comedy. If you want to do comedy, you're going to obviously network at an open mic comedy night or at a show that you get an opportunity for. So you're going to be interacting with other people of your similar type of artwork. And then it also will connect people to each other. So you just have people that are artists with disabilities, and then people that have disabilities that are experiencing art. Because for me as a disabled artist, I'm more attracted to somebody who has more similar challenges as me. So if I see an artist with a disability, I have more interest in their art because I'm like, oh, okay, they've figured out how to do this without seeing that word can't. So I want to meet this person. And then also just the people are interacting with their friends and family who come out to support. So maybe I'm normally sitting at home, like I can't get out of the house and I don't really have anything to do, but now I'm a featured artist at an art exhibition. So it's a good reason for all my friends and family to come out and support me. And so I'm getting more socialization that way. And then I also might meet new people. I might make new fans and I might make new friends, and I would have followers who support artists, and people will talk to me. Like if I wasn't a singer, I wouldn't have met half the people that I know, to be honest. Like most of the people that I've met is because of my art. So it just helps people connect with their communities. And then how do you make those connections? Just like some of the stuff I mentioned, like if you are an artist or you're a musician, maybe you're taking classes for that specialty, and maybe you're going to an open mic night to go play your music, or you are joining a band, or perhaps you're following a band that you met because of your networking with other communities. And then music and arts festivals. It's really a good place to network and connect communities, and just getting people with disabilities into those communities, it really just helps to foster more networking, more community building between people with disabilities. And also especially social media interactions, because you might have a social media page and you just might be like Jane Doe, but when you're Jane Doe and you have a link to your music, or you're Jane Doe and you have a link to your artwork, and people go, oh, who's Jane Doe? Oh, okay, I want to talk to Jane Doe. So that's, I just use that name because whoever, but it's a great way to make friends and meet people, and it creates conversation. And then again, the selling of art and professional opportunities. We know that a lot of artists are, challenged financially, and especially people with disabilities have financial challenges. So it's just like an extra way to create another source of income for people with disabilities when people are consuming their art. And we could go to the next slide. Okay, so why should we cultivate disability arts? This is more of the why, and there's lots and lots of reasons, and it creates a sort of a systemic effect of all these things, because you're saying, oh, I'm going to go check out this person with a disability who's performing, but what you're doing by that is you're actually creating a lot more things that result from that, because if you go into a venue and an artist with a disability is there, chances are that the barriers have already been considered, since there's an artist performing there with a disability. So if you're a disabled person and you want to get out, and you know that an artist with a disability is going to be available to share their art at a particular venue, you might not feel as intimidated to ask about accommodations, because you're thinking, oh, well, the artist that's performing, or the artist that's displaying their work, is disabled. So obviously there should have been a conversation about that, hopefully. And so it just creates a space for advocacy. And then shared experiences. Again, you go out there, check out art, you meet people. You could maybe you're an aspiring artist, and you go see an artist who is also disabled, and you're saying, hey, how did you overcome A, B, and C. How did you face this challenge? And what do I do if the community building goes beyond just I met so and so? It creates a conversation, an important conversation as to how can we cultivate disability in the arts and overcome barriers. And that's camaraderie. That's another level of camaraderie. Elevating disability culture. So, right now, my personal feeling on it is that, that it's that disabled people with disabilities don't always get out into the world because of barriers. And if we're elevating disability culture, then it comes into the forefront that we need to break down barriers and we need to consider accessibility at any given point for any given event or opportunity or space. And it just having disability culture in the forefront is a way to kind of reduce the stigma of asking for accommodations, because asking for accommodations is uncomfortable, especially in a competitive industry. And that goes along with disability pride. Like, I am proud of who I am, and I'm not afraid to say I need an accommodation. I'm not afraid to say that because I see that these other people are doing it. So why should I be afraid of it? I'm not alone. Okay, and then obviously expanded career opportunities. DEI is a big conversation right now, and we want to be inclusive for everybody. We want to be diverse with programming, and we want everything to be equitable. A lot of people are having these conversations, and so we want to keep those conversations going. So when you see a disabled artist thriving, that just initiates more of those conversations. Okay, and then so that again creates a systematic change, and it's helping other people with disabilities, and it creates accessibility. Identify and eliminate physical or administrative barriers. Again, you don't know necessarily, even myself as a disabled person, I'm not aware of all the barriers that go along with maybe having hearing impairment, or somebody that's blind, or somebody that's missing a limb. I don't understand what their needs are, what their barriers are. So as I navigate through the arts scene and I'm meeting more people who are artists with different disabilities, I'm understanding the variety of challenges that different people are facing based on their own personal challenges with disability. Whether that be, how do I get on this website, or how do I get through the door? And then if you wanted to do the next slide. Okay, so barriers. I actually took this picture a couple weeks ago. I won't say where I took it, but it is at a place that is for arts. And the person that parked this bike there does not even know. They don't even realize that they placed a barrier in this wheelchair ramp. So the fact that I'm a disabled artist and I went to this location and I said, can you please tell somebody to move that bike out of the wheelchair ramp? I'm aware of barriers because I'm a person with a disability, but probably very few people in that building would have even seen that and thought twice about it. So the fact that I'm a disabled artist experiencing the arts at an arts venue and an art studio, it just reminds people that, yeah, you might be an accessible location, but if you have a movable barrier, you just need to have a sign or something letting people know, that accessibility isn't just about construction. So barriers can come in all kinds of forms, and just making that awareness. So some of the barriers that I've listed here, and I just want to say this picture is of a wheelchair ramp with a bike parked right in the entrance of it. I'm sorry, I didn't describe that. Okay, so again, like, if you're an artist you might be, already having a challenge putting your stuff out there. You might be like, I'm not good enough. But, every artist at some point might experience that. But when you're an artist with a disability, you have that whole other level of, I need to advocate now, and I need to call them up and say, can I get in the door? And I need to call them up and say, is it accessible? And sometimes people don't want to put themselves out there like that. And so that's a barrier. That in itself is a barrier, because you should advocate for yourself, but some people are an introvert and they don't want to put themselves out on the line like that. So that's one big barrier for artists with disabilities in requesting accommodations. And then non-accessible opportunities. And I'm just going to use this as an example. Um, I was invited to be part of a fashion show, and I said, I'd be interested in doing that. And then the person said, okay, well, this is what it's like. You're going to have to go up some steps and you're going to have to do this. Do you think you can do that? And I'm like, no, I don't think I could do that. And there wasn't like an open conversation of like, well, how can we make this happen for you? How can we make it right? How can we accommodate you? But it just felt really uncomfortable saying, oh, well, can you build a railing for me, or can you not use the stairs? It just felt uncomfortable because I felt like I was putting everybody out. It just felt like I don't want to be trouble, So that's kind of a barrier, just like not wanting to be the one that makes the whole program change. And the lower endurance I mentioned earlier is, artists with disabilities are facing their health challenges. So in a competitive field, which art is competitive, you might not be able to keep up with the other people. They might, like, for example, like my performing, like they might say, we want to hire somebody to play for 4 hours. And I want that opportunity too, but I really can't physically perform for 4 hours because of my endurance issues. So I might not have that opportunity. That's a non-accessible opportunity for me. I used to be able to play for 4 hours. I mean, there's people without disabilities that can't play for 4 hours, but I'm saying in regards to a professional musician or a professional artist who otherwise would have been able to participate in that activity. Okay, and then transportation challenges, being able to get to where you need to go. I have a friend who, she's legally blind and she's a singer-songwriter, and she has to Uber everywhere. So I don't even think that the money that she makes for performing covers her Uber. So a lot of times she's financially strained because she can't drive. And then people with wheelchairs, you have to have either a wheelchair van, or you have to get public transportation that has a lift. It's not like you can just get up and go if you don't have a wheelchair van. So that's another challenge, is to getting to where you need to go. And for me, it's also like, I have this big keyboard. It's not like I can set it up myself. Okay, so then you need support. I need somebody to help me carry my stuff. I need somebody to help me set up. I need somebody to make sure that I can know where everything's at, how far the bathroom is. Let me see I think Renee's saying something. Okay, I missed that, but I'll address that at the end, Renee. Okay, so the support's needed. Yeah. So when I first started playing, I was a lot more physically capable. I was able to carry my guitar. I was able to get myself to the venue. I was able to set up my own stuff. Time goes on and my disease has progressed. So I'm losing some of my abilities. Now I have to hire somebody just to carry my guitar. And then ableism in the arts. As I mentioned earlier, not everybody can be on top of a disabled person's accommodation needs. I don't know what this person needs. I know what I need, but ableism in the arts could be anything as little as, inviting a disabled musician to the venue and saying it's accessible, but you get there and it's not. Or, for example, the example of the fashion show that I was invited to be a part of. It was just, oh, there's stairs. Can you navigate that? No. Okay, maybe it won't work out. Another example is, oh, we'd love to get a wheelchair ramp for our stage, but we've never had a disabled artist. Okay, well, you haven't had a disabled artist because you don't have accessibility. So why would a disabled artist try to perform at your venue? So until you actually have the accessibility, you can't expect people with disabilities to attend your venue or your space. And then the invisible disabilities. So I experienced that because when I was younger, my disability wasn't visible right away. And I would say, I have a disability, and you're not disabled. They would, you're not disabled. That's kind of the, response you get. But it's like, I'm not telling you this because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this because I'm explaining that I need accommodations. And that goes back to ableism. When you tell somebody you need accommodations, and then they just think that you're being like a diva or a difficult artist or something, that's a form of ableism. When you tell somebody I'm disabled and I need accommodations, that's a statement, and that needs to be taken seriously. All right. And so the next slide. I think we're doing perfect on time. I was worried that I wouldn't have enough to say, but okay. Thank you, Megan. Okay, so Ramped. So I want to talk a little bit more about Ramped because it's a wonderful organization and they're just getting off the ground. We're a new organization. And RAMP stands for Recording Artists and Music Professionals with Disabilities. Our website is ramped.org. And this slide shows the RAMP logo, which is, it's like a music note with, it's sort of turned into, it looks like a wheelchair user in a way. So they sort of like designed the music note to look like an individual using a wheelchair. And so that of course doesn't just apply to wheelchair users or people with mobility challenges, because actually our founder is Lachi, who is a blind, I think it's called EDM music, electronic dance music is what it's called. Maybe she's an EDM artist and she's very well known. She's the governor of the New York chapter of the Grammys, and she's the founder of Ramped. So it goes across all disabilities, neurodivergent individuals, people with visual impairments, people with physical disabilities, and they even have people with mental health disabilities. So it really encompasses any musician that has that identifies as disabled. And actually, if anyone here knows of any musicians with disabilities that would like to join, you could send them to ramped.org. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you to Megan and also to Molly and Art Possible Ohio for having me here today. Megan helped me, Art Possible helped me to apply for a grant with Ohio Arts Council. And it was so useful to have her help because I was extremely intimidated by the process of applying for a grant. And I think that's a great resource for people with disabilities, especially someone who might not be able to navigate a website or might not be able to type or anything along those lines. For me, I have some challenges with focusing and also with like my eyesight, and sometimes I just have trouble like with my hands and stuff. So it was just like really helpful that Megan helped me with that. So thank you to Art Possible Ohio for your valuable services. And Ohio Arts Council is a great resource as well. They have an Artists for Disabilities grant program that they do every year. And I believe there's another application process coming up due for November 1st. So if you're interested in applying for that, you should definitely reach out to Art Possible Ohio, or just look up Ohio Arts Council disability grants. And I looked up some of these other resources actually while we were putting this PowerPoint together, and I found this great resource, the National Arts and Disability Center, and I found that they are a leading consultant in the arts and disability community. And recipients of technical assistance include artists with disabilities, performing arts organizations, art centers, universities, colleges, disability specific groups, and art administrators. So that's a great resource. And then artandsoulohio.com is, they feature the art of artists with developmental disabilities, and they have like their art up. They do a contest and you can win prizes. You have to have a developmental disability to participate, but you could look that up and you could submit your artwork through there. And I also did mention ramped.org. And Assembly for the Arts is also a great organization for any artist, but they definitely have focused on supporting artists with disabilities and creating a more equitable and inclusive environment for people with disabilities in the arts. So I thought I'd also mention them. They currently have, they're doing the America Rescue Plan Act funds for individual artists. So if you'd like to apply for that, the application is very easy, and it's kind of just actually it's like more of a survey. You don't have to submit anything. You just answer all the questions, and then you'll be submitted for consideration for a $2,500 stimulus amount that is for artists with this, well, for any artist, but of course they're going to be considering you if you have a disability. They're going to be looking at you like for need that you need this money to help your art. So that's about it. And so I'd like to take the last 10 minutes to address any questions. I missed that one. So if you could tell me what that question was, Megan, that'd be great.
We did have 2 comments in the chat. Renee mentioned, I find people not very open in general. They pretend they are, but they're not. Sometimes they already made up the decision or answer in their head before they even ask a question. It's disconcerting. And Dot commented, we all need to be better human beings and be strong allies.
Right. So what Dot said is exactly what this conversation is about. It's about being an ally, and cultivating disability in the arts is about you are navigating the art world to help support artists with disabilities specifically, and help to uplift them and to encourage them and give them opportunities to create disability culture in the arts. And Renee, I just wanted to say that I totally relate to what you're saying. An example that I would give you is that recently there was an event being planned, and it was going to involve the entire music community. And I reached out to the organizers and I said, I would like to help you. I'm going to volunteer to help you make sure that your event is going to be inclusive and accessible. And I was told that maybe next year, because they had a lot on their plate and they didn't really have time to address those concerns. So I felt like that would be an example of what you were saying, maybe. And it's very disheartening, but that's why I'm here today, is to say that is completely unacceptable, and that we all need to let people know that are in the position of organizing events, and that they're doing programming, that accessibility, equitability, and inclusiveness is not negotiable. It's something that has to happen. So that would be where I'm coming from, at least. So I feel for you, Renee, and all I can say is that please keep fighting the good fight and make sure that you are, approaching these situations with confidence and saying, hey, you know what, that's not going to work. You have to be inclusive. You have to include people. Otherwise, it's pretty discriminatory, if you ask me. So, is there any other questions?
I have one, but I lost my mouse for a minute. I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, I would, I loved what you said about like really thinking about ways to center disability when you're creating programs or writing a performance and things like that, and thinking about accessibility at the beginning and at the end. I'm really disheartened to hear that story that you just shared. But you are clearly such a strong advocate. I know you've mentioned your connections to so many committees in the Cleveland area and your experience as an artist. Is there a particular experience where you did advocate and you kind of kept like knocking on that nail and did see some change happen within an organization or a particular event?
Yeah, so the biggest one is the city of Lakewood. So I didn't think that what happened would happen. I was just approaching the mayor saying, hey, there's no accessible housing and I'm going to have to move out of Lakewood because the only accessible housing is for seniors. And I literally, even if you have money, you can't find an accessible house. I mean, if you're loaded, maybe you could live on the Gold Coast and get maybe you can get an accessible apartment, but again, they're in low supply. So when I went to Lakewood, and the mayor that was the mayor at the time, he was getting ready to, retire. And he said, there's not a whole lot that I can do, but what I'm going to do is pass your name on to the new mayor. So I literally got an email from the outgoing mayor copying me and saying, Tracy Marie is the woman to talk to about getting Lakewood ADA compliant, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is like way above me. This is way above my pay grade. But, and then, the pandemic happened, and then our mayor put a resolution into city council saying, we want to create the ADA transition task force so that they could become, basically the transition plan is required by every city, but there probably aren't any transition plans in Ohio. I'm not going to lie. So when that happened, I felt very empowered because I was like, all right, I made a city do this. I made this happen in this city. I didn't make them do it, but I made this happen for the city. So what if I took that to the statewide, or what if I took that to the city instead of a suburb? What if I go to a major city? So that's empowered me. So now I'm starting to kind of navigate through the forest of Cleveland and say, and I've found out, that they also need to do some upgrades to their compliance. I'll just leave it at that. But getting the city of Lakewood to create the position of ADA coordinator was my biggest accomplishment. So we did not have an ADA coordinator. When I asked for one, they said, oh, it's probably this person, they were like, all right, I guess I'll do it. It was kind of like one of those things, but they actually have a dedicated ADA coordinator that a person with a disability can directly contact for an accommodation request with anything having to do with city programs, properties, or public right of ways. So that was, I feel like, my biggest accomplishment so far with my advocacy. So it's empowering, and I'm looking forward to growing that effort onto a bigger level.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Is there time for one more question?
Yeah, we got time.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
I would like to see every company that in their HR department that does sexual harassment and behaviors like that training to include ADA awareness and disability awareness, no matter how small the company is. If they're putting on events, they're doing programming with the public, everyone from the volunteer at the desk, from the teenage lifeguard on the weekends, needs to be aware, so that when someone comes and says to that weekend desk person, there's a gentleman who needs help and he cannot find an accessible parking space, or he can't get in a door. Those young people or volunteers at every level in an institution need to be trained and aware of ADA and accessibility. It should be part of every HR process written.
Agreed. Yes. That is, that's definitely another level, but just having on any business website, when you first log onto a website, just having that first page have a link or a contact to say, hey, if you have accommodation needs in regards to our business, please contact this person, or please click here, or here is our situation for accessibility. Here is our ADA policy. So yeah, in my work with RAMP, we are partnering with NEVA, which is the National Independent Venue Association, and they are also a newer organization. And so we're partnering with them to make accessibility more understandable to venue owners. It's not that they don't want to be accessible, it's just that they don't know how to be. And there's also a lot of fear involved with lawsuits. So we're just trying to work with venues to make on a higher scale to make them understand, that you don't need to be afraid to put on your website that you don't have wheelchair access. It's just the right thing to do, because a person with a wheelchair does not want to show up to your venue and not be able to get through the door. So it's just a respectful thing to do to disclose your level of accessibility or lack thereof. So we are just trying to help create that conversation and reduce the fear from business owners and make it more of an inviting and welcoming environment for people with disabilities that are attending concerts or performing concerts. So that's kind of the next thing on the list for me. And it's 3:00.
It is. So we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. We will be sending out a link to this recording and also posting it on our website and our YouTube page. Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing your experience with us and your music. It has been a wonderful very first possibility talk for the season.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and now that's over, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Well, Tracy, now that we know you're part of the Art Possible Ohio family, so we'll definitely be in touch for other opportunities. So.
Oh, thank you. I would love to.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign us all off, and we look forward to seeing all of you again, hopefully at a future possibility talk.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining.